Howdy folks, Tex Grebner here with Tex Grebner Outdoors. We've got a new year and I've got a new bow, and I think that you all might find it pretty interesting. This is my Kaya Archery Con Longbow. First, I want to give you some specifics on this particular bow. Yes, it is a traditional bow. As you see, it doesn't have any pulleys, so it's not a compound. But this bow is very compact when strung. It is only 48 inches from tip to tip. Without an arrow on the string, it is only 15 ounces, less than a pound. Very compact, very maneuverable, and in addition to being an excellent decoration, this bow, in my opinion, is a very compact hunting bow. It is absolutely functional. Kaya Archery is a company based out of Korea, and they specialize in traditional archery products from the Eastern disciplines. Both Eastern and Western archery disciplines have incredible validity to each other. They look incredibly different, but the goal is still the same. So as Kaya Archery has created a bow that blends Eastern and Western features, they have also named it Khan, after Genghis Khan, who was a warlord who bridged the gap between the East and the West. The limbs are Eastern style, but the riser and the grip is Western style, having a center shot arrow shelf, which is incredibly attractive. What Kaya Archery has done is they have blended their Eastern style manufacturing with Western features that, in my opinion, make this bow very suitable as a sporting bow, or even as a survival bow of sorts, because it is so compact, so lightweight, and as you will see, it is very shootable. This bow of mine I got from Three Rivers Archery. The draw weight is 50 pounds at 28 inches. I'm going to be eyeballing the nocking point because I do not have a brass nocking point on the string just yet. But this is a very beautiful bow, and I'm very impressed with it so far. It is, however, not a cheap bow, but it is attainable at under $300 right now from Three Rivers Archery. I can honestly say that even though I am fairly new with this Con Longbow, that is a fairly respectable group. I do believe that this bow lends itself very well to instinctive shooting. By and large, I really like this bow, but there is one thing in particular that annoys me about it, and that is the quality of the leather in the grip. I am not terribly impressed with it. This bow is a product of craftsmanship. But if I'm paying upwards of $250 for a piece of equipment, I expect it to have a grip made of higher quality leather than Hobby Lobby suede and a shoelace. Now, that being said, it's not a deal breaker for me because I know that I can get aftermarket replacement grip leather, and this bow actually doesn't even need any padding in the grip because it has such little hand shock. But I will say I'm annoyed by it. The grip is actually very slim, and the reason for that is because it's meant to be able to be shot with a handful of arrows. Something that you need to be aware of, though, is if you're used to gripping very high on your recurves or your longbows, this grip angle, you need to grip a bit lower because you can get feather burn on the webbing of your hand. Another thing that is not a deal breaker, but I'm going to need to modify on this bow if I intend to take it to the woods, is you can hear the arrow across this wooden shelf. I'm going to need to put some camo form or some sort of moleskin upon this so that you don't hear the arrow being drawn back. Not a big issue on a 3D bow or a competitive bow or even on a decoration, but it is my opinion that this elvish bow, so to speak, has a place in the woods, and I need to modify it accordingly. Now, I did call this a longbow, and the reason that I am calling it a longbow, even though it has a recurved limb, is because the true string begins here. This is all part of the nock. As you can see, it has a raised portion right here to keep the string in place. So this, by definition, even though it has a recurve in the limb, the true string begins right here, and so this is in fact a longbow. Here we see the con unstrung. This bow has a very forgiving and smooth draw, and it is a very smooth shooting bow. And the reason for that is, as we see here, the limbs come forward when it is unstrung. It is not a string follow longbow. It has a lot of elasticity within the limbs, and when it is pulled back and fully strung up to its proper brace height at its resting string tension, because of the unstrung shape of the limbs, the bow actually has a load on the string already, which makes this bow very fast comparatively to its draw weight. There is a lot of energy being stored already before you even draw the string back. But because there is a load on the string to begin with, the draw is also still very smooth all the way out to 28 inches. Here we see the bow strung again, and it is, as I've said before, a very compact bow when strung. It is slightly less compact and a bit awkwardly shaped when it is unstrung. Now, that being said, it probably won't fit into your survival pack, but it will easily lash to the side if you outfit your pack in a proper way to allow it. Who do I think could benefit from a bow like this? Firstly, I believe that it would make an excellent youth bow, because in many states the minimum hunting requirements are 40 pounds. But with a traditional bow that is 40 pounds at 28 inches, if you start a child out on a 40-pound bow, when they do not have a very long draw length, they will become accustomed to the weight that the string draws to, and then as they get older and older, and they get larger and larger and larger, they will slowly work their way into a full hunting draw and be able to have the bow that they were given as a child and then hunt with it as an adult, as opposed to the little red Indian bows that we got as kids that were a fixed 24-inch draw at 20 pounds, and if you drew them any further, they'd break. I also think that not only would this bow be aesthetically pleasing to a female shooter, but it's lightweight. Finally, I think that this bow would be an excellent hunting or survival bow for somebody who's looking for a little bit of flair. I mean, to be totally honest, I'm a nerd under all this camo, and that looks like an elf bow from Skyrim. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. As always, God bless all my sportsmen of America. Join the NRA to protect our rights. Please check out my friends over at legallyconcealed.org. Thank you very much to those of you involved in law enforcement and those of you serving in the military. And thanks for watching Tex Grebner Outdoors. Happy New Year.